Hello, hello, and welcome to Bitesized Podcast, and I'm your host, Sandali. Before we dig into some serious nutrition subjects, I want to spend the next few weeks laying some really important nutrition groundwork. Consider this the part where we're gathering our ingredients to make the best pie ever. I really do love cherry pie and also Saskatoon berry pie, but we all know the best pie is always served with ice cream. Anyway, this month we're spending it gathering our ingredients. As with all fresh starts in the new year, this is one of them. So this week I wanted to cover balancing meals. It can be really hard to navigate what you're eating when there's a new fad diet every few months, and I just want to help you get the basics down. Now let me say, I already hear you, but Sandali, I'm celiac, but Sandali, I'm vegan, but Sandali, I don't like peas. I don't like peas either, okay? It's fine, we're gonna figure it out. Keep in mind, this podcast is to offer you the basics to apply to your life however you see fit. I won't be able to account for every diet, preference, and allergy in every single episode, so be sure to check with your healthcare practitioner and know your own body the best way you can. If you are looking for some individual help, feel free to reach out via my website. I would love to connect you with another holistic nutritionist who is doing consultations and who would be able to offer you that personalized advice that you're looking for. In the meantime, every episode is going to contain something that you can apply to your life, and if you feel like halving the sugar of the recipe, by all means, please do so. Of course, as they all say, take it with a grain of salt. So let's get cooking. What does a balanced meal look like? Every meal should contain a source of protein, fat, and carbohydrate. Proteins are obviously the easiest to think of. This is your beef, chicken, fish, moose, deer. If it's meat, it's protein. Very easy. However, for my plant-based friends, there's definitely some options, or if you subscribe to Meatless Mondays, there are some options for you. No, I don't mean Beyond Meat, although we were all a big fan a couple years ago. What I do mean is things like quinoa, amaranth, buckwheat, and other vegetables that do contain the building blocks of proteins called amino acids. While of course there are many sources of protein, I cannot list them all here today, so be sure to put your email in for my extensive guide and list, and you can find that link in the show notes. Protein is important because it helps our bodies maintain our cells, tissues, organs, hair, nails, and many other things. It is also an excellent source of energy. And if you're a mom, I bet you're always wondering, when am I gonna have my energy back? And I'm here to tell you, eat a stick of bacon, or a bowl of quinoa if you're vegan. And while there are many other protein options, the ones I have mentioned are complete proteins, meaning they have all essential amino acids, so our bodies can fully utilize them. If you are plant-based, you have to be a lot more careful about the type of produce you're consuming to ensure your amino acid intake in these various produce items are enough to build complete proteins in your body. So we've got fats and carbs left. Both have been very vilified in modern day marketing, and we've all seen it. So let's talk about it. Carbohydrates, bread, pasta, everyone's favorite go-to when they're hungry and they just want to feel full. Now don't get me wrong, I love a good pasta. I always bring it up when I talk about my last meal if I'm ever in prison. So I'm not here to tell you to not eat the pasta. I am here to tell you you should eat the pasta and the bread, because carbohydrates are not bad for you. What I am going to say is carbohydrates should not make up the bulk of our meal, but they are necessary to balance our meals. When looking for carbohydrates, the best sources are going to be 100% whole grain or sprouted flour. Some other carbohydrate options to consider are root vegetables like potatoes, yams, squashes. We're in the winter months. These are our favorite options. Pseudograins are also a really great option, as I mentioned, for plant-based people, things like quinoa, amaranth, and buckwheat. Beans and lentils like chickpeas are also a really great option, as well as oats and rice. Now just think about it. When you've expanded past your good old Wonder Bread and Barilla pasta, you've also given yourself so much more variety and options. You've just opened yourself up to a whole extra level for cooking and meal enjoyment. This variety also helps when the kids go, "This again!" So why do we need carbs? Carbs are actually our body's first source of energy. It's the first thing to break down after fasting, giving us that burst of energy we need in the morning after hopefully a very deep and long slumber for you. The more whole our carbohydrate source is, the slower it will break down and the longer that energy will last throughout the day. Whereas if you consume a carbohydrate that is more processed, it's going to burn a lot quicker, turning into sugar. It'll give you an energy spike and then a crash. And we can avoid this when we balance our meals. I also want you to think of a carbohydrate as the side dish in your meal. I think often, especially if you grew up like I did, half of your plate is beige. And while we love a good beige moment, it should be the smaller portion of our meal. Now lastly, fats. Again, fats have been very vilified, but are really important in balancing our meals. They're going to help us avoid that carbohydrate energy crash and give our food a lot more flavor. Fats include coconut oil, olive oil, ghee, MCT oil, and nut butters. Peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, and butter in general are all in there too. Healthy fats are needed for energy and cell growth, but they also help us maintain our blood sugar levels, especially when consumed in a balanced meal. Fats are especially important in the reproductive years as they help with hormone balance, cell regrowth, developing the baby's brain, enriching breast milk, and help also ward off postpartum depression. It can be overwhelming, but try to make it simple. Ask yourself when you're making your meal, do I have a carbohydrate? Did I cook something in a fat source? And do I have a protein to go along with it? Try to add things to what you're already eating rather than taking something away. Once you get the hang of this, try swapping out something for a better option. So if you're currently cooking with palm seed oil, which is not great for you, when it's done, switch to olive oil or butter. So that is my challenge to you this week. Take a look at last week's grocery plan, meal plan, whatever it may be, and ask yourself, can you make a swap? Can you add something to make it a more balanced meal? How can you just get a little bit better this following week? If you find when you're looking at your meal plan from the last week that you are eating fairly balanced, then my challenge to you is to add in an additional vegetable or even better, a green. You can also try adding something more nutritious to it, like topping it with a seed like chia seeds, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, or adding a scoop of peanut butter on the side, just to make it more filling and more nutrition dense. If you would like to see all of this information visually, please enter your email in the link in my show notes, as I do have a free guide on balancing meals, where to find these sources, and it'll help you plan your meals from here on out a little bit better, and it's completely free to you. This guide also includes some more information on greens, which we did not talk a lot about today, but they're really important and very nutritious to your diet. They contain so many important vitamins and minerals, and I highly recommend adding some greens every day to your meals. I know there is nothing worse than your beautiful pink smoothie turning this dark green because you added spinach to it, but man oh man, it's good for you. That is all from me this week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere at bitesized.podcast. And in case no one's told you yet, you look radishing. See you next week. Bye. Although I am a certified holistic nutrition consultant, I am not yours. It is not specified to you and your health needs. While I strive to provide the most accurate and up-to-date information regarding nutrition, this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not substitute professional medical advice.